Hello, it's Lee. Well, for this video, as the title says, it's going to be about happiness and attaining happiness. It's something that, well, to be quite realistic and honest, everybody's looking for it. And attaining it and actually getting it can be a lot more difficult than we might think. I guess it's been a subject that's been talked about for very many centuries. And many philosophers, many mystics, many religions, different schools of thought and spirituality, common sense in general, people realize that being happy is a great attainable goal and a worthwhile cause. In fact, if we all realize that that's what we all are really endeavoring towards, ultimately, every single person, and if we actually would work on it, we would find that this world would be a much better place. As you all know, as is a state inside of a person, such will be, I moved a box. Such as is the inside of a person, such will be the outside. Interior and exterior, the world reflects on how we are feeling. So when there is ugliness and strife and different things, anger, sadness, misunderstandings, various things, well, yeah, it's because inside there is not an appreciation, there's not a happiness, there is not something. One of my famous quotes that I like to say to myself a lot and remind myself of, and I'm sure it's been echoed in many centuries and millennia going back and in the future, is that a happy person is a harmless person. Now people can say, oh well, some people seem to get happy by doing bad things. Well, that's not real happiness though, is it? That's more along the lines of they're getting a temporary joy, a fixation on an addiction of some kind. And I don't just mean addiction to the typical things, or drugs or booze or shopping sprees or whatever the case may be. Someone could have an addiction to a spiritual enjoyment that gives them some sort of feeling of power or overcoming something, but when it's just a little temporary gain, it always becomes a setback. Now recently I've been remembering that and recognizing that when someone gets close to happiness, it's because they have simplified themselves. They have diminished some of the clutter in their mind and their heart. We all, I'll be the first to admit this, that's not a problem. You could be similar, you could have very different things, but we all live in a lot more fear than we'd like to admit. And a lot of our energy is being put on doing certain things to ignore or distract ourselves from that fear. That's very true, I think so. Now, when we're in these bodies, we're forced to go into a mode of survival. Okay, gotta get up and gotta do this, gotta earn money because I have to pay the rent or the mortgage, food bills, car, gas, gas prices, right? We're all very affected by these things. And this causes stress. The very survival mode causes us stress, and that sucks. But it's a matter of focus. Now let's get into the meat of the talk now. Our mind is so much like a radio station, or rather a radio station reflects our mind, our consciousness, and our super consciousness. When we are focusing on something, it affects the heart. You'll hear the old quote, out of sight, out of mind. So picture if your mind's eye is thinking of something too much, you're going to be damaging your soul in that way, harming yourself, slowing yourself down, causing some kind of impediment, because the more you focus, that's where your energy's going. I remember a cool Native American guy that I was talking to in Ottawa, and he said a very simple but very profound, beautiful saying. He said, where your mind goes, your energy flows. I said, that's exactly right, brother, that's exactly it. Because what we're thinking of, what we're endeavoring towards, we're sending our energy that way. Some people end up draining themselves, and I've done it so many times. I used to be, such an insomniac when I was in my 20s, especially early 20s, dealing with spiritual development. Had all sorts of mystical awarenesses and trials and tests that I went through, and it was so hard on me. And now that I've overcome it, there's still a weight in my heart of that, maybe a bit of grieving, but also a sense of triumph too, which helps me a lot in realizing that I overcome certain things. But that's just it. We are, each and every single one of us, every single human being on this planet or other planets, wherever, the whole cosmos, if we are not happy, we are destructive, no matter what. It could even be such a simple thing as just being self-destructive into yourself. You know, if you're like me, I don't like to share my problems with others, and you know, sometimes we share problems because we need others to help us, sure, and relate to problems. But some people are like me, and I don't want to bother you with my problems. I'll try to handle it myself. So maybe I keep too much to myself, and that's a little bit harmful or detrimental. But then I learned that I tried to tell myself, use my mind to teach my heart and to focus my energy and just say, well, what you're worrying about or what you're stressed over, is it really that big of a deal? Is it an eternal problem or is it a passing thing? 9.999999 times out of 10 is a very much temporary thing. So we need to realize that. Happiness is actually a choice. And so is leadership, and so is any attitude, aspect or mantle that we want to take onto ourselves. That is a choice. I like the famous French philosopher, and he's a friend of mine even in this current life. I reconnected with him, my friend Alex. And he, well, the guy speaking it then, Blaise Pascal, the French philosopher, and he said, I think I said it in another video too, but we're never happy because we're always planning to be happy. Ask yourself, are you doing that for yourself? Are you saying, well, I'd be happy once I reach that goal, or once I have this little problem in my life right now, once it's out of the way, then I'll be happy. Well, guess what? You and I both know that problems and stress, well, you know, they keep coming. These speed bumps keep coming. There's no such thing as a perfectly smooth, wonderful life. Not even for anybody. We all have to go through these speed bumps. Stresses and actions and reactions will always go on and on around us. But it's a matter of how we're going to deal with it. There was a cool story of a Buddhist monk who, I believe this was in New York, in the United States. There was a big riot going on. People were smashing windows and taking things. I don't remember if it was 1960s, 70s, 80s, 90s. I don't remember what year it was. But anyway, the monk said, well, I can either go around and avoid this thing and watch people do their stuff, or I'll just walk calmly right through the middle because it doesn't have to affect me. And so he put himself into a mode of Zen and just walked through the chaos, and everything was going around him. And because he sat strongly in the seat of his heart, he was unaffected, nobody bothered him. He smoothly went through, and it was all good. In a similar situation, how would you or how would I act or react to that? Would we be worried? You see, as long as we are staying in a mode of fear and worry and stress is based on fear, there are two prime things, love or fear. And the people that are raising their consciousness in this era, this 2012, are realizing it is narrowing down to that. Even hate is based on fear. Love and fear. Those are the two ultimate warring factions, if you will, for your soul and my soul. So, we're not going to be happy until we're fully in a mode of love. And it starts with a good self-love. And I don't mean in a selfish way, because a lot of people, misunderstand and they think, oh, well, I'll live for myself. And so they're giving them their small ego self a boost so they can get some confidence and feel better. So a lot of people seem very selfish in that way because they're not spending their energy to help the world because they need to work on themselves, for an example. But that's just because that's where they are and that's where they need it. We've all been so wounded. We've all been so traumatized. But how much do we want to hang on to that? That's the real question. Hang on to it, it's like feeling a mode of self-pity, or it's feeling there needs to be some justification. It's feeling that God or the laws of karma are not going to fix things. People say, oh, why do bad things happen to good people and all that sorts of stuff? Well, understand what's going on, that everything that happens to you happens to me. But everything that happens to you is for your training. It's to get you stronger, to make you more aware, to give you that ability to raise and rise in yourself. God can do a lot. To use that word for God, you can call he, she, it, whatever you like. But God can only do so much. God gave free will to all souls. We came out of the source, and we are each able to make the choices. God can't say, if you want to picture it for simplicity, just picture God saying, well, that person's sad, I'll make them happy. Dring, magic dust, and their person's happy. The person can pray for happiness, but what they're doing is they're asking their own higher self to link with the source, with the God, and rise the ladder in themselves, up the 7 steps to heaven. Get in touch with happiness in the self. So, what causes people stress and problems? It could be everyday life. It could be a trauma that you went through. It could be all sorts of things. It could be something that you're fearing that's coming up. Oh, at the end of the month or at the end of the year, I got to take care of this. We all have our own particular situations, but they're all so similar. We have to be careful about that too, because I've done it a lot to myself, especially in my 20s and early 20s, that thinking, oh, well, I'm the only one going through this, or this, you put yourself in isolation or something, saying, oh, well. But the commonality, the fact that we're all sharing the similar stresses and trials is very true. So it's a common laws that bind, or however you say it. But we have to choose ourselves to be happy. And it could be a simple matter. You can literally do it simply like this. You could be having a crummy day, or you're even at your house cleaning up, or whatever the case, and you're just feeling icky. Well, stop yourself, suspend judgment, and say, no, right now I'm going to actually choose to be happy. Force yourself to smile, turn it into a real smile, laugh at yourself a little bit, laugh at the situation, take the weight off, alleviate the weight of it, and just say, well, whether I like it or not, I'm going to go through this, and I can choose to be grumpy and angry, or sad or fearful, or I can choose to strengthen myself and go through it. And there's nothing wrong also with being weak sometimes. Sometimes we have this karmic mode that we're allowing leached onto ourselves. Well, shake it off. Sometimes anger is a good thing, actually. When you're saying, no, I'm not going to put up with this anymore. Shake it off. Or if you feel there's some stress bugging you, well, like a heavy wet blanket over your head, throw it off and feel the weight. Breathe fresh. If you need to cry, let it out. Even if you're a guy, a lot of guys like to fight their emotions that way and not cry. Well, recently I remind myself to just let it go a little bit. Like Kurt Cobain said, the finest day I ever had was when I learned to cry. I'm a man, just a man. Let it go. Happiness can be attained when we are in the modes of love, and what's stopping the mode of love and happiness is the fear. The fear of fear. We ended up, like, let's just say something is coming up for you very soon, or maybe you have a trauma you're holding a trauma, you're holding these emotions, you're fearing the fear of it. It's so important to forgive and let go. What was nice about the original Christian message was the aspect of forgiveness, letting go. When we learn to forgive ourselves, then we can forgive anybody and everything. Letting it go. Nobody is guilty, nobody forever. Nobody is a bad seed. We are all going to rise. It takes time. Happiness is not achieved on materials, as everybody knows by now, or should start to know by now. You can be the richest person in the world. You could have many houses on different countries and islands and whatever the case may be. But unless you're happy, what's the point? It means nothing. That's a level of dominance that someone takes on for a while because they need to feel they have some control and some strength. So they act it out on this field of existence we call planet Earth, a physical reality. But once they get it out, they'll slowly realize, it's not really getting me that much. And when we're all mortal anyway, what are you taking with you to the other side? You're going to take your bank account? It doesn't work that way. Now, if you sum it up, that is what it comes down to. Happiness, my friends, is a choice. And the more knowledge and the more understanding we have of reality, our own scenario, the scenario going on in the world, the more we understand and appreciate what's going on for the overall karma, the overall good of something. It can take a lot of time to understand the intricate networks of fate, space, and time, and the magical workings of the higher powers and the spiritual forces, which we are a part of. Understanding this more, and you can attain that simply by loving more. The more we love, the less we fear of things, and try and work on it. You know, we're in such a culture that we think things have to go this quick, and I didn't get it, so I suck at it, I'm no good. People ask me about, Lee, how do you do meditation, and how do I become successful at it? And friends and certain people, write me messages, or my brother said, oh, I have a friend who is looking to get into meditation, she's not sure. Well, even with that, I can say you can't expect tremendous results right away, especially if you're worrying and expecting something. That's again fear playing a trick on us. Oh, well, other people have it that very good, so if I don't get there very quickly, I suck. No. Sometimes it takes a little time to get somewhere. Happiness is a goal, and it is a choice. And taking little steps at it can do a tremendous amount of good. Like they said, the old famous Buddhist quote, like throwing a tiny pebble into the pond makes a huge ripple effect and do a lot of good things for yourself and your reverberating energies going out to those that are around you, your surrounding environments. And, it's true. Smiling at someone and being happy attracts the positive energy to come back. So this perpetuates and lifts people up in general. I remember having somewhere around 24 or 25 years old, having a very thoughtful day, and I just telling myself, well, smile more, just choose to be happy. So, just crossing an intersection, some people on my side of the street, some people on that side, and I was single at the time, and I saw a cute girl my own age, so I just walked, and I just smiled at her, and she did a huge, broad smile back. I was too afraid to, you just stop and, hi stranger, want to chat? I just kept walking, but the fact is, if I had not smiled or just remained whatever, she would never have smiled. I instigated a moment of happiness, and I received it. It was mirrored back to me by that attractive young lady. So we can do this anywhere. We can promote it. And when we feel that our actions and our causes are not lost, that's what gives us the best thing. If you're someone that also makes videos, you can receive maybe someone writing an angry comment or insulting or attacking. And, in my younger days, I might have responded more ferociously, but now just kind of, you just roll your eyes or just say, I understand where you're coming from, and you just kind of try your best to calmly dissipate the situation. It could be anything. It could be at a workplace. It could be between you and your lover. It could be problem with a friend. It could be stress with your kids. It could be anything at all. And if we just tell ourselves, well, I shouldn't take myself too seriously, I shouldn't take that person too seriously, I shouldn't take it as a big personal issue, because when we're acting in these human bodies, it's all ego-based anyway. So just smile through it, get past it, let go of the fear by learning to love, and loving the love. The best thing any one of us can do is falling in love with love. That's the greatest goal. That is what is the highest search of the mystic, of the philosopher, of the whatever. Our society is slowly trying to get there. Even in schools, I wish they would say that. Well, never mind talking so much about only this science of physics or this mathematics or home economic, whatever you like. This is practical things, yes, but let's talk about, I'm immortal and I should not fear my death that's coming up. I should be working on my happiness. We should be working on how to communicate and love each other. All the real enlightened people, they didn't necessarily have to be amazing philosopher thinkers. You can even throw all that stuff aside. Love attains it. In fact, wisdom is superior to intellect in that way, because it's not even needing to go through those processes and just going right to the love of the matter. Once we fall in love with love, and it animates us. It animates us, and that gives us happiness. Because when you're in a mode of loving yourself and loving those around you as much as you can. Sometimes it's hard to deal with certain people who are negative and grumpy. You just got to understand where they're coming from and forgive them and not take anything they say too much to heart. Sometimes you got to be a bit cold with them and say, okay, well, unfortunately, but I mean, the more happy and positive we are, the more we attract it, the more we create it, the more we promote it. This is a great thing. I think that there's nothing lost when we try to do that, because there'll be more positive things coming back than negative. What's the saying? 17 muscles in the facial structure, 17 muscles to smile, 40 to frown. That's a lot. Big difference. So energy is light. You'll feel people are so weighted down. You think of these rich people, you hear stories, these Illuminati and these secret this and that society. Well, these people have money and power, but they're not happy. They think they're happy, they get a giddiness out of a certain, what they perceive as an achievement or a goal reached. But it's all temporary nonsense. Happiness is harmlessness, and harmlessness, I'm talking about the real happiness. Harmless, light, feeling floating, promoting goodness, nothing lacking. We don't feel that we need to control anything. When we're happy, we don't control a thing. We just ebb and flow perfectly. We rise wonderfully. We create karma. We speak good magic. It's about, getting rid of misconceptions of things. Learning to embrace happiness by letting go of fear. We all carry our burdens and our baggage, every single person. But we can have less and less the more loving and happy we feel by choosing it, by choosing to let go of the past. We cannot change the past. We say this quote, everybody quotes it and says it, but we don't really appreciate it enough. Maybe I don't either. You can't change the past. You can only change how you feel about it right now. And that's the best thing for us to try. Just say, well, that happened, and then if we even want to take it up a notch, say maybe it needed to happen somehow. Maybe not, maybe it needed to happen. But now I'm here, and that's gone. I'm going to either remain grumpy. You see that would be the worst thing. For me, that would be the worst scenario. I would hate to be an elderly person, a senior citizen in this life as Lee, and be grumpy and sad. You don't want to die feeling like that, because then your spirit is in that phase. You might be this and that for a little while. You'll get some enlightenment, because when we die, we got lots of friends, a lot more things are juicier than we think. But that's not a nice way to be, or to live your whole life like that, grumpy and upset, fearful, feeling pity, remorse, whatever the case. God can forgive even the worst devil, that's a true fact, simply by the sincere want or effort of it. So that's saying, if you see someone that's a bad person, if they can have it off the hook simply by choosing it, and it is that quick, by choosing it and aspiring towards it, you're going to get it. It is all by self-choice. It is all by self-choice. No one force anyone for something. You'll see karmic patterns because someone maybe needs to go through it. But even those karmic patterns someone went through, they chose it knowing that they needed it, and they didn't have a huge array of choices at the particular moment. We have to go through our trials, but letting go of those fears, those pities, those remorses makes you feel light as a cloud. We forget that we're mortal too often, every day. We don't think about it. We don't remember or remind ourselves often enough that this physical body is temporary, my ego-based self is temporary. What are the eternal things? What are the good things? Because the fear and the confusion, the hate, the sadness that I am holding on to, or you are holding on to, it is temporary, based upon temporary things. The root of it, or they, multiplied, the root of any of those stresses, worries, fears, is based on temporary things. So why do we spend so much energy on temporary things? We gotta let it go. So, closing words, sincerely, happiness is a choice. Realize what is a stumbling block, what is stopping you from attaining it. Literally, write it down if it helps. Think about it, whatever you want to do. What is stopping me from, say that to yourself, what is stopping me from being happy right now? What's in my power to change, or what's not in my power to change? If I have some power to do something about it, I should do it. If I don't have power to do much, I should learn to endure it peaceably. Peacefully. I think that's the best way to go about it. Happiness creates harmony because the harmless soul is full of harmony, and this is our aspiration. You don't see higher level beings full of light, permeated in wisdom, grumpy and sad. They might remorse for the world a bit, poor guys, but they're not light and happy. That's what we should try and do. That's where we're going anyway. Do you want to go there the long road, or take a shorter cut to reach that place? Happiness is a beautiful choice. Choose it. I want to choose it more. I tell myself more often. Let go when I'm upset over something. Is it childishness? Am I being silly holding on to that particular detail? Yeah, most of the times I get angry or upset. I'm being childish holding on to a particular detail. Later on I laugh about myself and go, wow. Let it go. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. Well, cheers my dears. Namaste, namaskara to the fullest. Have a beautiful weekend, whenever you watch this, evening, day, night. and more videos to come. I am available for spiritual guidance also, just as a side note. If you want to help me, if you need, well, you can help me by helping you. You help me help you, I help you by helping me, and it's a big cycle. I can give spiritual counseling. I can help you with certain readings and see past, present, future, where you're going and karmic patterns, because of where you're at now and where you're going to be going with that. I can help with past life discovery, general spiritual questions. I'm not saying I'm an expert, and I do not have every single answer, of course not, but I will give my sincere, loving answer to anything that's asked. So you can contact me about those services. I don't charge much. I just mostly ask for donations in that regard. And other than that, I'm very happy to help. Love, light, and truth. This is what I worship. This is my God. And, most of the stuff I give for free. I love making these videos for people. I love connecting with people. If you want to just write a small comment. I just like to hear from people, and we help each other rise. That's what we're here for. Help each other rise. So, I guess I've said too much. Take care for now, and watch my other vids if you feel inclined to do so. Alright, take care. Bye-bye.